Fred and Caroline's The Way Home. Episode number 1. Once upon a late autumn evening, Fred, a sprightly dog with a brown coat and a nose like a small radar, and Caroline, a sleek calico cat with a penchant for adventure, found themselves at the back of Old Man Johnson's antique shop. He had been closing up for the night, his cargo van loaded with items bound for a nearby flea market. Fred and Caroline, as curious as they were inseparable, noticed the van door slightly ajar. Fred's nose twitched with the sense of adventure, and Caroline's green eyes sparkled with the thrill of a mystery. "Let's take a look," Fred barked excitedly. "I thought you'd never ask," Caroline purred, and with a graceful leap, she landed on the bumper and slipped into the back of the van. Fred clambered in right behind her, his tail wagging with excitement as he sniffed at the boxes and bags, each filled with trinkets, old books, and oddities. But before they could explore further, the door creaked, and, with a loud click, it closed behind them. Fred's ears perked up in alarm. Oh, Caroline, I think we're stuck." Caroline, who prided herself on her calm, arched a whisker. "Let's not panic. There must be a way out." The van engine rumbled to life, and soon they felt the vehicle jolt forward, whisking them off into the night. Fred looked out the small side window, watching familiar streets fade away. As they bumped along the road, Caroline noticed a crate with loose planks. She pawed at it, loosening a few more until it opened up, revealing a cozy blanket, a pair of old reading glasses, and a half-empty bag of dog biscuits. Fred's nose immediately found the biscuits. "Well, at least we won't starve," he joked, crunching down on a treat. Caroline rolled her eyes, her feline nature more concerned with getting back home than with snacks. Still, she had to admit, a bit of comfort was nice. The van finally stopped, and the driver, humming to himself, locked up and walked away, leaving Fred and Caroline alone in the quiet of a parking lot. "All right," Caroline declared, taking charge. "We'll look for an exit." The two friends inspected every inch of the van. Caroline climbed to the top of a stacked box tower, hoping for a better view. Fred tried pawing at the door, even pushing his weight against it with determination, but it didn't budge. Then Fred had an idea. "What if we wait until someone opens the door from the outside?" Caroline considered this but knew that the man wouldn't return until morning, or maybe not for a couple of days. "We'll be here all night if we wait," she replied. "Let's see if there's another way." Together, they turned to the small side window Fred had been watching from earlier. It was just wide enough for Caroline to fit through. She could squeeze out, find a way to open the door from outside, and free them both. "All right, here goes nothing," Caroline said. With Fred holding steady below her, she climbed and wriggled through the window, finally landing gracefully outside. "Now to get this door open," she mused. She found the latch and pulled with all her might, but it was too heavy for her alone. Desperate, she spotted a stray piece of metal nearby. Using all her cleverness, she wedged it against the door's latch and pressed down. With a creak and a snap, the door popped open. Fred leaped out, covering Caroline in an enthusiastic lick. "You did it, Caroline!" They were free, but now they faced a new challenge. The parking lot was unfamiliar, and the night had deepened around them. They wandered through quiet streets, working together. Fred's nose led them away from busy roads and back toward familiar smells. Caroline, with her sharp eyes and memory, recognized landmarks like the fountain in town square and a big oak tree they often passed on their walks. Eventually, they found themselves near a familiar little park with twinkling fairy lights. They knew they were close to home, but one last hurdle remained: crossing the wide, busy street that separated them from their neighborhood. "Stay close and follow my lead," Caroline instructed, her voice soft but confident. She darted across the street, slipping between cars like a shadow, with Fred close on her heels. Finally, they reached their street, and soon the comforting lights of Old Man Johnson's shop came into view. Relieved and exhausted, they trotted to the familiar back porch, curling up on the mat outside the door. As dawn crept over the horizon, Old Man Johnson stepped out and found the two friends nestled together, fast asleep. Shaking his head with a chuckle, he left the door open, letting them wander in when they woke. From that night forward, Fred and Carolyn grew a bit wiser. They learned that while curiosity was a wonderful thing, they would stick together, plan a little better, and make sure they always found their way back home together. And as they drifted off to sleep each night, they knew that as long as they had each other, every adventure would lead them back where they belonged. If you're enjoying Fred and Caroline's adventures, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more magical tales.
Fred and Caroline, The Magical Path, Episode Number 2. One balmy summer night, Fred and Caroline trotted through the park, basking in the gentle glow of the moonlight filtering through the trees. That's when Fred noticed something odd, a shimmering path, faint but distinct, winding its way through the grass as if sprinkled with silver dust. "Look, Caroline!" Fred barked, his tail wagging with excitement. "What is that?" Caroline's eyes narrowed with intrigue. "It's a trail. But who would leave something like this?" she wondered aloud. The shimmering path was unlike anything they'd seen, so they followed it, moving quietly past the sleeping park, through groves thick with whispering leaves, and down toward a shallow stream that sparkled in the moonlight. Fred sniffed the trail as they went, his nose picking up faint traces of herbs and flowers, and Caroline observed each clue with curiosity. She noticed that every few feet, the shimmer intensified as if something was deliberately placed there. At the edge of the stream, they found their first big clue, a glimmering stone carefully placed by the water's edge. Caroline's eyes widened as she realized it was covered in a natural, luminescent substance, almost like the tiny specks were painted on. "Look, Fred, it's not just random dust. Someone made this shimmer." "But why?" Fred asked, tilting his head. "It's like a trail leading somewhere, but where?" Double quotes. As they crossed the stream, the trail led them deeper into the park. There, they found more of the glimmering stones, placed at intervals. Each one seemed thoughtfully arranged, like pieces in a giant puzzle guiding them toward an unknown destination. Their journey continued through a narrow path lined with tall, wildflowers, their petals tinted with faint silver under the moonlight. When Fred stopped to sniff a stone, Caroline noticed another clue, a delicate feather attached to it with a small string, glistening faintly. "This must be part of the artist's work," Caroline mused. "Whoever it is, they must be very thoughtful to use things found in nature." Finally, the shimmering path led them to a beautiful grove tucked deep within the park. Fireflies danced all around, illuminating the clearing with a soft, magical glow. At the center of the grove stood a person, a man dressed in simple, earthy clothes, with paintbrushes, jars, and small pots scattered around him. Fred's tail wagged with excitement, and Caroline sat silently, observing the artist as he worked. The man hummed softly as he dipped his brush into one of the jars, carefully applying the luminescent paint onto rocks and leaves. Seeing Fred and Caroline, he chuckled softly. "Well, what curious visitors I have tonight," he said, kneeling to meet them at eye level. "I'm Tom," he introduced himself with a warm smile, reaching out a hand for Fred to sniff. Caroline tilted her head. "You're the one who made this glowing path, aren't you?" Tom nodded. "I create art in nature, but only for those who look closely enough to find it." His eyes twinkled as he explained. It's a way of reminding people that beauty is everywhere, hidden in places we might not always think to look. I use plants, stones, and even some special, natural paints that glow under the moon. But why make it here, so deep in the park? Fred asked, his curiosity bubbling. Tom laughed softly. I grew up nearby, and this grove was always a magical place for me. I wanted to share that feeling with others, even if they never meet me. If someone stumbles upon it, it's like a little gift, a reminder of the magic all around us. Fred's eyes sparkled with understanding, and Caroline felt a deep sense of wonder, realizing they just had a glimpse into an artist's heart. Tom gave them a small, glimmering pebble to take with them, a token of the magical night. Together, Fred and Caroline wandered back home, their senses sharper, now tuned to the hidden beauty around them. The glimmering path stayed with them, a reminder that even the simplest places could be filled with wonder if only you knew where to look. And from that night on, every walk through the park held a little more magic, thanks to Tom's hidden artwork and the special night they'd spent unraveling his mysterious, moonlit trail. I hoped you enjoyed Fred and Caroline's adventures. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more magical tales.